Welcome to Nomadic Diaries. And my name is Doreen Cumberford. I'm your host. And today I have the fabulous guest, Vivian Chiona. Now, I've known Vivian for probably about 10 years. Is that correct, Vivian?
That's correct, or even more now, but
Yeah,
time
or even
flies.
no more. Time moves on, right? Welcome. Vivian is the champion for the platform called Expat Nest, where she provides e-counseling for expats, digital nomads, international communities of all types around the globe in order to build their better sense of functioning and well-being in the world. Does that sound accurate?
It does, and thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome. It's great to reconnect again. So tell me a little bit about when did you start Expat Nest and how does that work?
Right, so I started Expat Nest 12 years ago when online counseling was really something unexplored for expats and internationals. And I had that idea that I wanted something that would be new, something that would travel with expats no matter where they were. And I was thinking, okay, what can I do to combine the love about psychology, but the mobility of expats and all of that. And this is how Expat Nest was born. This is a story that I have shared a lot in interviews, so I'm not going to go into the details of that. But briefly, it was novel at that time, and then during the pandemic, online counseling in a way shoot off, and people now ask for more and more. And I think it has become even like mainstream counseling. What we offer is psychological services in 9 languages. Some of them are English, Greek, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Chinese, Arabic, and we're going to add also now the Assyrian language too. We're going to have it on the website. And we help children above the age of 9, teenagers, parents, and adults. So pretty much we can help whatever international family needs. We have a team of psychologists with different specializations, and we are really there for anyone who needs our services, as long as they're expats, internationals, repats, this kind of target group. We don't work with monoculturals.
Sure. Well, that's fascinating. So you have really expanded into different languages. So do you have therapists that live in all these countries or are nationals of all these countries who are part of your team?
Yes, actually, they're not necessarily nationals. They're also expats themselves or repats, and but they're native speakers in these languages, and they have lived abroad. So, in order for us to work with someone, we need to be sure that they're registered psychologists, counselors, therapists, but they also have the expat experience and intercultural psychology specialization, because it's not only about being an expert, but also having the necessary qualifications to do this profession. But for us, yes, having the expert experience is very important, because otherwise something would, you wouldn't fully get the experience of your client otherwise.
Exactly. Well, sounds like a something that many people could be really benefited from. What are the most common blind spots that you see when we expats first reach out to you? What do you think we need versus what do we really need? Because that is what therapy, coaching, and all these self-development programs are about. They're about filling the gap, right?
Right.
So, what are the most common blind spots you see with expats?
The most common concerns I see most expats using Expat Nest, it's usually for relationship issues. Either they're single expats or expats who are in relationships and they face challenges, or navigating cross-cultural romantic relationships, or having a long distance relationship, or families holding the fort abroad, and all of that. The thing is, that's one. The second could be anxiety about relocation or about work. about school, if they're teenagers, adapting to the new school. But we don't only focus on the first years of a relocation, but we help people before, during, and after a relocation, just to clarify that. And another common concern is parenting abroad or teenage issues and all of that. The thing is, above all, I think people need a safe place to talk and to be able to find solution to what is challenging for them. Sometimes they come to us and they say, oh, I need an immediate relief for this and this and this, or a quick fix for that. Sometimes we can offer that, sometimes we cannot, depending on the complexity of the issue. And this is what we try to explain to them, that above all, you need a safe place, that no matter what, we are here for you. We're going to find the solution with you. And I think this is important, and this is also empowering, because deep down a person has the answers. We need to help them find them.
Yes, exactly. The answers are all inside. It's just a question of helping us dig them out, correct?
Exactly, exactly.
So it takes an engineer. Therapists are a little bit like engineers. People have asked me, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? And I say, a therapist is more like an archaeologist, and a coach is more like an architect, because one is digging around and exploring the past, and the other is let's just build a blueprint and work from here, right?
That's a very beautiful way to say it. I haven't thought about it in this way. It's a beautiful analogy. I try, in our Expat Nest philosophy, we try to see it as a connecting thread between, the past, the present, and the future. They're all
Right.
linked, and sometimes you need to go back to find the answer for your present and how to build your future. But sometimes you need to be stronger right here, right now, in order to find the strength to go back and solve some issues that were there, from your childhood, etc. So I would say, yes, it's about that balance on how we can become stronger right here, right now. Because, some people, when they come to us, they don't have the mental space to go back and do the deeper work. They just
Yes.
need some help now. And then from that
Yes.
space, we go back and we do the deeper work and the healing, and the outcome then lasts in the long term, because we want also sustainable results, something that, after 2 years, it won't be an issue anymore. Or after 10 years, they won't have to go back and work for it. I say that because sometimes people say, oh, I want an immediate solution. And then they get a solution for 3 months, but then this is not really maintained after a year, after 2 years. We don't want fireworks. We want really long-term change.
I love that. I love that. So in reference to that, what I've noticed in my expat circles, and I'm living in Mexico now,
Mm-hmm.
is that many of us now, especially I think I'm referring mostly, or in this instance, to expats who are in their third chapter. People who have retired or have had a career, or in a second and third career, or they're just doing some sort of a gig on the side. Um, and we tend to focus on practical matters like, how do I get a visa? How do I find a house? Those logistical things take up so much time and energy. But
Mm-hmm.
then what are the emotional and psychological things that we're overlooking?
You mean that for this target group at this age, or
Well, I think at this age, but also just anybody who thinks that moving overseas is just a logistical factor.
yeah, no, this is, for example, one of the blind spots, as you were referring before. And this is something that can really cause a lot of trouble if people are not prepared, because they think that, okay, it's just the logistics, and then um, they have to face a reality that it's very different. They have to face culture shock, or they have to face issues around identity, homesickness, loneliness, not having a community around them that could help them. Um, so sometimes when you don't know what will trigger this kind of anxiety, you can find yourself in a very miserable place when you're abroad. So, and then there are lifestyle factors that change, habits around eating patterns, sleeping patterns, things as they used to be at home will be very different in the host country. So, and this is regardless of the age or what kind of chapter of your life you are, but it's about
Yes.
being prepared that yes, the change includes pretty much everything: physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being, etc. And that's why I always recommend people to do pre-move counseling, because can really ease the emotional load and set realistic expectations of what they will face there.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really about expectations versus reality.
Yes, and that's quite a gap sometimes, isn't it?
It
And
is.
and also I think it's a coping mechanism that we develop that we say, oh yes, I'll just go to the expat course such and such and I'll figure it out that way. But then that's short term and it doesn't really deal with it doesn't deal with what I call the invisible side of living overseas, which is the adaptability and the flexibility and the superpowers that you have to build.
Exactly, and the resilience and all the skills that you need. But even it starts even from the moment that you decide to leave, and you go through the detachment phase, and then you have to go through the goodbye. Let's start even from that, because goodbye is also a skill to practice and an emotional process to go through. And then you need a healthy goodbye for a healthy start. And then you're facing a new reality in your host country. And then, even if you become an expat for 5 years, 10 years, you face different kind of challenges, because you mentioned before about different life chapters. There are different challenges, let's say, when you're in your 30s, in your 50s, or for example, before retirement, that you need to rediscover a different passion in your life, or what kind of meaning you're going to have now that you're an empty nester, for example. And okay, what does this mean for you as an expat? Or, for people facing a midlife crisis, or when you're a teenager and you're like, so every stage of our development in a way has different blessings and different challenges and different questions to answer.
Exactly. And I heard someone once put this so cleverly. They said, at every level there's a new devil, which means,
Yes.
at every level there's actually a different challenge and there's a different problem or a different way of being and thinking that we have to grow, right?
Right, I love this, and I would add maybe and an angel too, because
Yes.
there are so many blessings, and I think there is also a gift that is waiting for us on the other side of this kind of self-development.
Yes, yes.
Because you can never be the same after such a life-changing experience.
No, we can never go back. We can never.
Never.
There's no unwinding of the experience. There's no mute button or reset button. It's constant resetting, isn't it? Can you can you give me some of the signs that sometimes suggest that an expat needs professional support? Sometimes I think that I talk about expats supersizing their lives. We live regular lives. We sleep, we eat, we travel, we have communities, we have relationships. But it's almost like we supersize our lives. When you go to America and you get a 12-ounce drink and they say, oh, no, you can supersize it for 48 ounces for the same amount, right? And I think
Hmm.
that that's what we do with our expat life sometimes. So, can you give me an idea of what signs suggest that we really need more support and maybe even professional support like you offer?
Yes. So deep down, if we feel that something is not right, if we don't sleep well at night, if we wake up through the night, if we have nightmares, if we have disturbed eating pattern, if we start feeling that we want to cry more, or that we sleep longer, or that we have more headaches, stomach aches, or our body always trying to give us a message about what's going on. So I focus a lot on psychosomatic symptoms too, or others, when others around us say that something is not right with you, or or when we have that little voice in us that we need to maybe ask for help or talk to someone and get another idea about how we can move forward. So some of the signs would be disturbed. as I said, eating pattern, sleeping pattern, psychosomatic symptoms, difficulty to adjust, anger issues, all of that could be indicators that it will be good for you to talk. And if you cannot specify it, because sometimes many people come to us and they don't know why they're there. And they say, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I need to talk to someone. Okay, we will explore it together. You don't have to have all the answers to that. You just have to know that you need to take the next step, and we're there to help you unfold about what's going on and what is the root of the issue. In most of the cases, people come to us with a different request, and deep down there's a different issue that they're looking for and they explore in therapy.
Mm. And
Mm.
I'm just really curious about this. You deal with so many people across so many cultures in all of those languages that you mentioned up front. Now,
Mm-hmm.
do you see that there's also intercultural patterns from all those different countries and cultures that, of course, we have to bring all those with us when we go into coaching or therapy, right?
Yes, yes, there are. You know, one of my trainers always used to say, when two people meet, they're not two cultures going out for a coffee, they're two people going out for a coffee, meaning that we have to focus on the universal needs. But on the other hand, we need to take into account the cultural context of our clients and ourselves too, because this can get in the way of therapy. I don't know if there are intercultural patterns in general, but there are definitely some similar challenges that we're facing. This is a discussion I had in the past with Ruth Van Reken about it. Like, what is it more important, to have an expert specialized counselor or to have a counselor that speaks your language first, and then the expert specialization? And we have both concluded that it's most important to have the expert specialization and understand the dynamics of intercultural psychology, because although, for example, I may be Greek Assyrian and you may be American, etc., we may not have lived in the same countries. However, we know what it means, for example, to say goodbye. We know what it means to leave your family behind. We know what it means to celebrate specific traditions on different days because you cannot gather as a family, meaning that we have all these things in common. And
Mm.
this, in a way, is a universal language.
Yes.
However, at Expat Nest, we try to combine both the language and the expat specialization.
Yeah, that's a lot. That just seems like a lot of puzzle pieces.
Yeah, and it is important. And you know, also lately, another part of the puzzle that I work as a therapist myself, and it's something that has come even more intense to me the past 2 years. I focus a lot on transgenerational pattern, not only in the intercultural, but also, okay, what this means in one family in terms of transgenerational patterns. Because if you think about it, you may be an expat now, but maybe your grandparents, they were not expats, but in the same family we have transgenerational patterns. And there's a great book if someone wants to read about more about that topic, which is called "It Didn't Start with You" by Mark Walling. And I love I love the combination of intercultural but also transgenerational approach on whatever we face
Well,
as a
thank you for
challenge
that.
right now.
Yes, thank you for that reference, and we'll definitely include it in the show notes. And I am part of a family, and we have now got four generations of
Hmm.
of some version of expatriate, some version
Yes,
of living overseas. And
yes.
it's very, very interesting to meet and greet and be with the family and talk about, the different processes and the intergenerational stuff, because I think the socio-political, economic, and just this great big engine called planet Earth that we live on
Hmm.
generates so much to process. And I think
Yes.
in an for me, I am very, very grateful that I belong to an intergenerational family who has lived abroad and overseas. because it really gives me a very settled somatic feeling in my bones. Like,
Yes.
like this is authentic to me. I'm
Yes.
living out the dreams of my ancestors.
Oh, exactly. Exact. And this is really all about what family therapy, in a way, actually preaches of, that we live the lives of what our ancestors would like us to live. But also, this whole search, in a way, started because I realized that many of our clients, they were not necessarily the first in the family who were expats, but then their ancestors may have a different cultural identity than them. For example, on my mom's side, I'm Assyrian. My father is Greek, my mom is Assyrian. So three generations back, they were only Assyrians. I wasn't identifying as Assyrian until some years ago. Like, I didn't have that kind of balance in my cultural identity. But
Yeah.
like 3 generations ago, there was a genocide, and that what has happened there as transgenerational trauma, it's something that has affected me now. But the
Yeah.
moment I realized that, yes, for example, I'm Greek Assyrian and I'm international, and I found that balance in my identity that really started 3 generations ago, this whole complexity, it gave me a sense of peace and calm that I didn't have. If we had this interview 5 years ago, I don't think I would have the same sense of calm and balance internally, which happened after finding the balance between my two identities, two cultural identities. And that's why I think intercultural and transgenerational, in a way, need to be explored together at some point. In some cases, maybe they are not directly related, but in many cases they are. And then it completes the picture of, oh, this was missing and we didn't see it before.
Mm. Or this was meant to be, and I'm outliving this vision for someone else.
Yes, which is a very beautiful way to see it, in a way.
Yeah, yeah. My dad was he emigrated to the US from Scotland when he was young, and then they went home. And when they went home, my grandmother passed away, so I never knew my paternal grandmother. And she died during that period of time called repatriation. And so I've always wondered, why am I so interested in repatriation?
Hmm.
Why, why does this have a magnetic attraction for me? Why am I talking about it, asking about it, doing surveys about it? What is up with this? It always felt like the topic chose me until one day I realized, I missed, I missed a really precious life experience because I never knew my grandmother, and that was it's just a period of time, but she did not recover from the journey back and living through that experience.
See, yeah, see, they're all connected. You knew it. Your soul, your DNA knew already. So it was a matter of timing for this to just come up as a question for you, and you search it. But it's good because you, in a way, you're fulfilling a goal that has come generations back, and
Yes.
now you're living this life and you're answering these questions. That's beautiful.
Yes, and you're helping people do the work that it takes to face up to this and really recognize the influences that affect us. Because I think we just jump on a plane and go overseas sometimes and go, "Oh, we got a new life. Look at this." Uh,
Not always. It's not as new as you would think it is sometimes.
oh,
Yes.
that's true because we bring ourselves with us.
Yes, yes. But of course, it has the excitement and everything. And that's why I said before, we love working with expats, not only at the very beginning of the relocation, but also when things settle down or after 5 years, when you have different questions, different challenges. 10 years later, you have different questions, or when you decide to repatriate again. And
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful that you're focusing so much on repatriation. I think we have discussed this before because I think we need more research, more book, more literature on what's going on with repatriation. Many people focus on expatriation, but not so much on the repatriation, which is exactly the same coin reversed. So it's exactly the reverse culture shock. And I think we need to do more blogging, more interviews, more podcasts on this. So I really look forward to reading your book too.
Thank you. Thank you. It's called Unsettled, and I'm speaking at the CTAR conference on the topic in a couple of months because I
Right.
agree with you, partly to galvanize some intercultural researchers to please do more research, because it's such an important topic, and I think it can be the precursor of dramatic life changes when you go home. And I think sometimes we're not expecting that. We're not prepared for it. We haven't left well. We haven't detached well. And so we don't arrive well, right?
Yes, exactly. And what helps a lot with repatriation, I have seen with my clients, is when they go back and they accept that only if they create a global village around them and find that balance between their old friends who are monoculturals and then creating that kind of global village around them, they can have a happier repatriation. Because sometimes when you're not prepared for the repatriation, you think, okay, I'm going to go back and everything will be as it used to be. That's not the case. People have changed, they have moved on with their lives. You have changed, you have moved on with your life. And then you need to find, again, common ground for that friendship to grow. But I think the global village, having again the international touch in your life, is something that will really help with someone who is a repat.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. Um, so what role does, I have a different question. We're sort of taking a left turn here, sharp left.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, what role does isolation play? And some expats, sometimes we don't recognize our own needs. And how do you address that? Because, distance plays, whether we like it or not, distance plays a role in our expat lifestyle. And so
Yes.
do you notice that people isolate or are experiencing isolation, especially in this day and age when so many of us are looking for the topic or looking at the topic of belonging? We have so much mental health situations, which I think can be exacerbated by the expat condition. What do you think?
Yes, yes, no, I agree. And loneliness is one of the most common reasons we receive counseling requests. Deep down, I think in a way, loneliness can also sound as an overrated term because deep down it's about the lack of connection with yourself, with the people around you, and the environment around you. So that disconnection is really about shifting your identity, loss of community, or even the existential cultural grief that someone experiences, either at the very early stages of relocation or even later in the process, when you realize that, okay, I'm now here for a year, but still I don't have the deep friendships that I used to have before.
Mm.
So that disconnection can really cause other issues too, like depression, anxiety. Part of the answer is to really find ways to connect with yourself again, which we do in therapy too, and then help them, connect with their environment around them, engage in activities that will be meaningful for them, have a sense of belonging in a community, sign up for language courses, cooking classes, whatever they like, as long as they find a sense that, okay, I can find people who get me, or I can have good time with them, and I have a sense of belonging. The sense of belonging is crucial. It's a basic need. It's not just, something optional. It's a must. We need to belong in a group, to have a community around us, to feel this kind of emotional well-being. By the way, well-being includes physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being, which is about the sense of belonging, and also cultural well-being, about your identity and where do you belong in the current scene as an expat. So in this context, trying to build meaningful connections with yourself, others, and your environment is part of the answer. And in therapy, of course, we can find specific ways to help you move forward with that.
Yes, yeah, that's great. I think that well-being is really, it speaks for itself. It's a deep source of being. And
Yes.
and when we focus on the being, then I think we expand and we grow. And I find that is the most exciting part of expat life because it's never static. There's always something to learn, to do, and to grow, but also to be. Next week, I'm going to Mexico City, and then
Mm-hmm.
we're going to another city called Puebla, and then we're going to Oaxaca. And that is my attempt to try and be a good student of my new home country, of my new host country, is to learn
Yes.
about it and to be a student so that it can teach me more about its culture, its languages, its sense of belonging, its personalities, and its history and the arts. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited about that. And I really, I like to encourage everybody to spend time learning about our host countries because that for me, when I crossed that threshold in Japan a bit and in Saudi Arabia and in Cameroon, that was what made the difference about me feeling more at home.
Yes. And it's also about giving you like a different kind of vision about where you are and what experience you want to have in a specific country, but also it gives you passion, it gives you a different kind of purpose. I think having curiosity, regardless of where you are, and what stage of your life you are, it's just helping you move forward because you have things to look forward to have meaning in your day, to wake up in the morning and you know you're going to explore this and this, and you're going to do something different. You know, having variety too is a basic need.
Yes,
So we need stability, but we need variety too. And when we have this kind of curiosity to explore, gaining new experiences, this helps us a lot covering one of our basic needs. But I agree with you. I'm also curious about life, and I think this is something that keeps me young at heart in a way. No matter, you know, how the time passes, I always feel, oh, I want to do this and travel to this country and explore this and cook. For example, now I have created a bucket list, and one of the items is to try food from all over the world. And I'm realistic that maybe I'm not going to be able to travel around the globe. I hope so. Who knows? But I can cook that food at home and try to
yes,
explore new recipes. You know,
yeah,
it's a choice. And well-being, because we said before about well-being, it's also a deliberate action
it
every
is.
single day. What do you
Yes.
do for your self-care? And I agree with you that self-care expands into caring for others, self-love expands into loving others. Really, it starts with us, not in an egotistical way, but it's about focusing on ourselves, put our own oxygen mask first.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So, how can people reach you? I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Expat Nest and where people can find you first. And then I have a couple of lightning round questions for you.
Sure. So people can find us through our website, www.expatnest.com. And there, if they have specific questions, they can email us. We have a contact form, or they can send us an email at info@expatnest.com. And we can always have a free 15-minute call. Also, something important maybe to mention, we have also direct billing agreement with many insurances. So maybe that would make it easier also for some people if they have insurances that it will cover for their sessions. So I thought maybe it's important to mention, but even if not, we help everyone who reaches out to us with the same love and care, and we try our best to find a solution, you know, to whatever issue you have. You know, we stand firmly behind everything we offer, and we want to do it with warmth and professionalism. For me, this is very important, and to do it with integrity. So whoever has any questions you have, just email us. We'll get back to you within 24 hours, and we can always schedule a call if needed.
Fabulous. That's terrific. Thank you so much. Now, tell me, can you give me three words for the idea or the concept of home that you carry with you all the time?
Oh, beautiful question. Hmm. Nest.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I have called also Expat Nest. I think it's so crucial, so central for me. Um, Myself, because I've realized no matter what where I am, the concept of home has shifted, that I am my home.
Yes.
And I also would put the word international, because I feel that the globe in a way is my home. As a Greek Assyrian living in the Netherlands, and all these cultures that I'm exposed to, I feel the globe is a home.
Mm. And what one thing would you say to people who are out in the world as expats, digital nomads? What is the one piece of commentary or advice that you hear yourself giving all the time?
This too shall pass. No
Ah,
matter what you're facing, if it's a good moment, treasure it, enjoy it to the fullest, because after that, it's not going to be like this. It will change. Everything changes, emotions change. And if it's a difficult time, hold on in there. It will pass too. Life has a special gift, to change things and throw something new at you that will change things for the better. So, yes, this too shall pass is one of my advice and my mottos too.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Nomadic Diaries. This was Vivian Chiona from the Expat Nest, and today we are signing off. Thank you so much, Vivian, for coming.
Thank you too, Doreen. I really enjoyed our interview. Beautiful, very
And
nice questions, by the way.
oh, good.
Who
And
haven't prepared them, we need to say that to the audience. So it was very beautiful. It gave me food for thought sometimes. Oh, I need to answer this. Nice questions. Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. And our normal sign off here at Nomadic Diaries is sayonara, ma salama, and hasta luego.